Cultural differences in international business. Before cataloging differences in communication around the world, it is important to note that people from varied backgrounds also share many similarities. With the exception of a few countries, including Thailand and Australia, business exchanges involving persons from other countries tend to be much more formal, especially at the beginning of a relationship. Cultural differences begin as soon as communicators encounter one another. Greetings range from the bow in Japan to the handshake in Europe. In many countries, exchanging business cards is an important ritual. In Japan, business cards are given and received with care with both hands. In many cultures, gift giving is a part of business protocol. For example, in India, where cows are sacred, gifts of leather should be avoided. While entertaining is part of business in almost all cultures, socializing after business hours is a central part of building a working relationship in many parts of the world. Regional differences in clothing are becoming less pronounced. For men, the standard Western business suit is common in many urban settings. For both men and women abroad, conservative dress will take you much further than the latest fad or fashion. In international business, the first shock of travelers from the United States may be the way members of other cultures understand and use time. North Americans, like most Northern Europeans, have a monochronic view of time, seeing it as an almost tangible substance. American speech reflects this attitude when people talk about saving time, making time, having time, wasting time, using time, and taking time. In the US culture, time is money, so it is rationed carefully. But this viewpoint is not universal. Cultures with a polychronic orientation see time as more fluid. Meetings go on for as long as they take. They do not abruptly or because it's time. Most Latin American countries, as well as Southern European and Middle Eastern cultures, have a polychronic orientation. They are less concerned with punctuality. In some cultures, each person is responsible for helping to maintain harmony of a group and of a society, like in Japan and China. In other places, the Middle East and Southern Europe, harmony takes a backseat to emotional expression. People from cultures that seek harmony can learn to adapt to and accept conflict. Communicators from more aggressive societies like the US can learn to appreciate the importance of harmony when communicating cross-culturally. In some countries, a woman who outranks a man may not be treated that way by hosts. The host may still speak to and prefer to negotiate with the male, assuming he is the woman's superior. As important as customs and norms are, they are just the tip of the cultural iceberg. Underlying what might appear to be idiosyncrasies in a behavior are a number of fundamental values that shape the way members of a culture think, feel, and act. Once you appreciate them, you will understand how and why people from different backgrounds behave as they do, and you will have ideas of how you can adapt to improve the quality of your communication with others. A high context culture relies heavily on subtle, often nonverbal cues to convey meaning, save face, and maintain social harmony. Communicators in these societies learn to discover meaning from the context in which a message is delivered, the speaker's nonverbal behaviors, the history of their relationship, and the general social rules that govern interactions between people. A low context culture uses language primarily to express thoughts, feelings, and ideas as clearly and logically as possible. To these communicators, the meaning of a statement lies in the words spoken. Members of individualistic cultures are inclined to put their own interests and those of their immediate family ahead of social concerns, offering a great deal of freedom in the belief that this freedom makes it possible for each person to achieve personal success. Collectivist cultures, in contrast, have tight social frameworks in which members of a group feel primarily loyalty toward one another and the group to which they belong. High power distance cultures, like the Philippines, accept the fact that power is distributed unequally, that some members have greater resources and influence than others. In these cultures, differences in organizational status and rank are expected, routine, and clear cut. Low power distance cultures like the US, differences in power are downplayed. In these cultures, employees are more comfortable approaching and even challenging their superiors and may expect to gain greater power. Uncertainty avoidance is a measure of how accepting a culture is of a lack of predictability. Some cultures, like Singapore, are comfortable with uncertainty, allowing their members to take risks and being relatively tolerant of behavior that differs from the norm. Other cultures, like Greece, are less comfortable with change. Their members value tradition and formal rules and show less tolerance for different ideas. A culture like in Japan that is made up of stereotypical male gender roles, such as a focus on material success, competition, power, and assertiveness, is termed masculine. A culture like in Sweden that embraces more stereotypically feminine characteristics, such as helping others and prioritizing relationships, is considered feminine. Cultures with a long term orientation, like in the East Asia, defer gratification to pursue of long range goals. Cultures with a short term orientation, like Western countries, look for quick payoffs. Cultural differences do not account for every aspect of workplace functioning, but they do provide a set of assumptions that exert a subtle yet powerful effect on each position's workplace communication.